So we've got the booze out of the way. Cheers.
Or in the way.
In the way, yeah, we'll see. This might get out of hand.
Well, we have 4 hands, so.
So Gateway Comics. So there's, so we both have our picks on some good series to start with if you're not sure about comics. And Sammie had a good video about where to start if you're not.
I did. That was my first video I made.
It was
how to start reading comic books. Shameless plug.
We're going to have a couple categories we're going to go over.
Yes.
So the first one is comics for kids or young readers. Next will be superheroes, and the third will be non-superhero. So Sam, if you want to start, we'll go back and forth.
Sure.
If you want to start with your young reader picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I kind of had 2 for that because I like the idea of having one for, not necessarily lumping all of the comics that are for kids, as in for young adults as well. So I kind of had 2 for that. For kind of the actual like kid, 7, 8 years old, kind of just have read. I chose Lumberjanes.
Okay.
And that's a really, really great comic. Done pretty much primarily by women, about women, but essentially it's a bunch of girls at summer camp. But the twist is that there are a bunch of really crazy, supernatural, magical things are happening at the summer camp. So it's very, it seems really like something that'd be on like Cartoon Network or something. Very lots of action, fun colors, and friendship. It teaches some good morals there. So
friendship, that's good.
And then the other one I had, which was kind of more for like the preteen kind of area, because Lumberjanes is a little bit young, maybe. I mean, it could be enjoyed by all, but for the kind of all, this is still all ages, but more specifically for that preteen, teenager kind of area would be Scott Pilgrim. Mostly because Scott Pilgrim actually had a movie, which is kind of a really, really good segue into comics. So Scott Pilgrim has several volumes out. I'm not even sure how many.
6, I believe.
I think they have 6 of like the hardcover, but like of the little paperback ones. Don't they have a lot of those?
No, there was like 6.
There were 6 of those?
Yeah. For sure. We'll check that out and put the correction on the.
Oh, that's right. Well, whatever.
The show description.
Yeah.
You're supposed to research this stuff first.
I got excited. I was like, there's a million of them. Then, okay. Well, anyway, there's more than one, which was, you could keep reading it. Good for people, for the teens that read chapter books and stuff like that. But that's a really fun adventure kind of one, and it's very self-aware, and the kids these days they like the self-aware stuff. But Scott Pilgrim, man, it's about a little bit about everything, really. I mean, rock bands and high school and
video games,
a lot of video game stuff. But it has a lot of action and fun, and they have like a black and white version and a colorized version as well.
Yes, I believe they released the color versions. Originally, it was black and white.
Right.
And I think
that gives good options. I think.
Yeah. So it was fun. I actually read all the volumes.
Okay.
Yeah, right before the movie came out, I went and read all of them. And the 6th one, the last one came out, and I think I went to the shop at 10 o'clock whenever he released it and got it, read it that night. So
it's really good. It's really good.
My pick for young adults is Bone by Jeff Smith, and this series has been over for a long time now, but it started in the 90s, and it was a black and white comic, but you can find they're in like short little digest forms, and I believe they've been reprinted in color as well. There's many volumes of that.
You can get them in big things.
You can get them, any kind of format. And it's a fun adventure series, and really anybody can enjoy it. It's about the Bone cousins, Phone Bone, Phony Bone, and Funny Bone, maybe?
That makes sense.
Yeah, but anyway, it's kind of a fantasy novel, sort of like Lord of the Rings. Have you read them?
I read the first volume, but which one? Lord of the Rings or Bone? Bone. I read the first volume of it. It is very, very adventure-like. It is very adventure,
but it's got some comedy in it. It's a really fun story that anybody can enjoy. Maybe I'd say 10 or 12-year-olds and up.
Yeah, I mean, we had younger kids coming into the shop and getting that, and a lot of kids said that was their first graphic novel. Which I mean, if they're reading around age, you know,
Mhm.
5 or 6 or something. I mean, that's pretty early, but
Yeah.
but I think the ones that would enjoy it would be more like you said, around 10, 5th grade. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of other crazy things. There's some funny rat creatures that are kind of the villains. And
Yeah.
we've got the heroine.
We'll say heroin.
Heroin, not the drug, but a
Yeah, we know.
female lead.
We're doing gateways here.
Yeah, we are, but
Segue.
we're gonna get banned from YouTube. Now, superheroes. So I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah. My superhero pick was Hawkeye by Matt Fraction, and I had a couple reasons for this. One was because a lot of people were first introduced to his character in the first Avengers movie, or
Mhm.
I mean, I guess he was technically in Thor.
Yeah, a little bit.
but he didn't have speaking roles. So people were kind of introduced to him and were immediately like, well, what do I do with this? Where do I? And I think Matt Fraction did an excellent job of taking the reins and turning Hawkeye into a very, very cool, relatable character. And the kind of the basis of the Hawkeye series is what Clint Barton is doing when he's not on the Avengers, which sounds super boring, but in fact, it's actually really interesting, and they do a good job. The artwork is, it's different.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't
That's
know if
David
you enjoy it or
Aja?
not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I read the first volume.
Mm-hmm.
A little behind, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
very fun. Fun series. He's got a dog,
Yeah, Lucky, or Pizza Dog.
pizza
He's
dog.
fondly referred to as.
Yes, but yeah, that's a good pick. It's a fun series.
It
And
is
there
fun.
is some adventure and action in it.
There is, yeah, and I thought that might be a good gateway into, do you like the medium of comics for superheroes? It would be Hawkeye, because he isn't one of the main guys like, Iron Man, Hulk, anybody like that. You kind of get an idea of what it's like being him, which is kind of like being us, being on the outside a little bit looking in. So, but he really is a great character. He's a smart aleck and he's funny. So, I think superhero. That's a good superhero
It's
one.
good, and it not only is it good for him, but there's another character in there, a female character who is actually my favorite character in that series.
Really?
Is
Didn't know
the
that.
other Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, and she actually's got more sense and probably a little bit tougher than
She does.
in
She appeared in
Hawkeye.
Young Avengers
she
as
was
well.
in Young Avengers, which is a good series as well.
Mhm.
Hawkeye was a good choice. I've got two that kind of you can jump into pretty easy. My first pick is Batman: The Long Halloween, and this was a mini series back in the mid '90s by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, and now you can find it in graphic novel form. It collects all 13 issues of the series, and it's a really great. If you like Batman, if you've watched the Batman cartoons or any of the numerous Batman movies. This has all the villains in it. It's kind of set early in Batman's career, and it's a mystery. It takes place starts at Halloween and then kind of goes through each of the holidays through the year.
That's good.
And I'm not sure how well this story actually fits into continuity. It's kind of a standalone.
Either way, it's a good story.
But it's a good story, and a lot of elements in this book were used in some of the Nolan Batman movies. So that's a good one. It's one of my favorite comics of all time, so it's good. My other pick is, I'm sure many of you have watched Daredevil on Netflix, which is a great series. If you haven't yet, check it out. There's a new series that's been going on since 2011 by Mark Waid and various other artists about Daredevil, and it gets back to a little bit more of the fun, adventuring superhero roots of Daredevil. He's a little more happy-go-lucky, he's a little more daring, but it still pulls back some of his dark elements and has a really good balance where it's not so down and depressing, but still grounded, but at the same time a lot more superhero adventures. He has team-ups throughout the series with Silver Surfer and Spider-Man several times. So it's a really fun series to check out. There's several volumes of that out right now. So Daredevil by Mark Waid. It's kind of a mix of superhero and grit a little bit, but it's a good one. So non-superhero, and that's our next category, and there's a lot to choose from as far as non-superhero goes.
Right. Well, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since I gave 2 for the kid one, I felt like I didn't want to you know, I felt like I should give kind of a more adult one as far
Okay.
as like the non, I mean, we're adults,
Yeah.
whatever.
Speak for yourself. But
Yeah, okay. So I decided to do Why the Last Man.
Okay.
And that's by Brian K. Vaughan. And a couple of reasons for this. One, Brian K. Vaughan does, I mean, in the comics world, so much stuff. He does so much stuff. So if you read this and realize that you do like his writing, you have a whole new world to explore of many different genres, not just. But this I felt like was a really, really good story because it's got, first of all, for the new comic book reader, you don't want to kind of get into the artsy, kind of weird style and stuff. So I kind of like that the lines are very clean. It looks like, looks like a picture book, whatever. But it has a very, very interesting premise. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. The idea is that every creature on Earth with the Y chromosome, so all the men, like creatures and people, suddenly die at the same time. So it's all women, except
That's
for
scary.
one guy. And his name's Yorick, and his male pet monkey as well. So he's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. It's that's kind of the underlying mystery throughout the whole series. But then it's also, him discovering new friendships and dangers about what would actually happen in that world. And I think they take a very realistic look at that as far as what would happen to, our farmlands, or how would we transport places with planes and stuff, that kind of thing. But not that women don't do that already, but they give statistics as far as 80% of men are pilots, or 80% of pilots are men. That'd be, I think that's a really interesting premise that's going to reel a lot of non-comic book people in, especially people who think that comic books are only superhero stuff. So I thought that was a good one.
Mine, I'm going to go kind of a little bit deeper into the indie comics realm, from Oni Press, The Sixth Gun. This is a Western horror. I don't know if you've read that. Not a lot of people do.
Sorry.
Not a lot of people read it. But it's by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt. It's been, I think, 2010 or 2011. It was actually the first issue was actually a free comic book day issue, which is cool. And the series has gone on from there. There's been 2 mini-series, a third in the works. And the main series is ending at issue 50, so a couple months, and then it'll be over. But it's while I say it's a horror, I'm not big on horror. It's not scary, not scary, but it's just got a lot of supernatural elements to it in a Western setting.
Sounds cool.
So it's cool, yeah, and it's about these 6 guns that all have different powers, and whoever they kind of bind themselves with their owner, and the only way that somebody else can handle them is if they kill the owner of that gun. But the art is almost kind of cartoony, so it keeps it where it's not so dark, and there is some supernatural elements, different kind of horror themes, but it's more of a kind of a traveling Western. The main character, Becky, she kind of starts out as kind of an innocent, kind of naive person who gets the most powerful of the guns. And she gets tangled up with a mercenary of sorts named Drake, who's kind of not a great guy. But as the series goes on, what's interesting is he kind of softens up, and she sort of figures out how the real world is.
That is interesting.
And sort of toughens up a little bit. And so it's kind of headed toward a big climax with all sorts of people kind of after these guns that may bring about the end of the world.
Yeah, I will say that's something we didn't really mention, but a lot of the things that we chose for our recommendations, whether the superhero or non-superhero, a lot of them are either coming to a close or have ended, which honestly makes it easier to get. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about Free Comic Book Day at all.
I absolutely do want to talk about
because that segues,
Yes.
because on freecomicbookday.com they have a section where you can find a shop that's participating. All you need is your zip code, and that shows you all the shops anywhere close to you. So even if you're unsure about any of that, so that's
that's good. I had actually forgot that they offer that service. So if you're like, oh, I need to find a comic book store, freecomicbookday.com, and
Mhm.
they'll point you in the right direction. But Free Comic Book Day is coming up on May 2nd,
Mhm.
which is soon. And that is a good time to get people to the comic book store if you've never been. Bunch of free comics to choose from, and a lot of them are standalone stories or jumping on points,
Right.
and you can get a wide variety of stuff to look for.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think the important thing to mention is that you touched on that briefly. Not all of the comics are free. There are a wide variety to choose from.
Yes.
People, I mean, without fail, every year people will get confused and they'll lock in and they'll literally start picking up things and start walking out with them. Not all the comics are free. They're not.
Yes.
How would we ever make money if that was true?
That's true. But yes, they'll have a table or a stand with the free comics. Each publisher has a few comics, and a lot of it's new material too,
Mhm.
which is pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Some of it's reprint, but
Of number ones and
number
stuff,
ones. But so DC and Marvel will have several different things for you to choose from. Some stuff for kids, stuff for older folk like me, stuff for young folks like Sammie. And but anyway, yeah, they'll have the free comic books you can choose and take home, and they'll probably have a lot of stores have sales and other
events,
stuff.
yeah, signings and things like that.
I know the 3 shops in town here are going to have, I think people in costume and artists and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, in general, it's a really fun day really to meet new people or just, being around, I think all of that is really exciting.
Yes.
Everybody's very high energy and, usually Marvel likes to time it right so that they have a new movie coming out around that time so that people are like curious.
Is there a new Marvel movie coming out?
I don't know.
Yeah, Avengers maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
I'm very excited.
Are you going to see it?
I'm going to put this away now. Yes, I'm going to see it.
Yay, Avengers.
Around free comic.
It's alright. Usually it works out that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, usually it works out that way. So yeah, check out Free Comic Book Day after you see Avengers, and before the Kentucky Derby comes on. It's a big sporting event day as well. All right. Well, I believe unless you've got anything else, that should wrap up this long-winded discussion on comics and booze. But thanks again to Sammie for coming.
Yes.
And
you're welcome.
Making the show better.
That's what I do.
Yeah, so we appreciate it. And tell the people at home, I like your Spider-Man watch.
Thank you.
Oh, check that out. That's pretty cool. So tell everybody at home how they can find you and see your show. You have 2 shows, correct?
Yeah, but it's on the same channel.
It's on the same
so
channel.
I like to think of it as 2 separate little things as well. But yeah, the channel I guess is called Sammie Reads, so you can literally YouTube search that and it should come up. But I usually will post once on Wednesdays and once on Saturdays. Wednesdays is usually just a general nerdy video about something going on in the comics world, and then Saturdays I post a video basically talking about what comics came out that week. So those are called Rad Reads. So. Little something to look forward to every week, so yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, no,
I appreciate it.
I'm glad
This was nice.
Yes, it was fun. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Leave comments, like us. Not very many people do, but please. Sammie likes us, but leave comments. Check out the blog, Heroes&Hops.blogspot.com. And next week I'll be filming at one of the local comic book stores on Free Comic Book Day, so you can get a glimpse of kind of what it looks like. So if you missed it this year, you can check it next year. So anyway, we'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.